wow, this is a good way to get better.
Surely.
Besides self-VOD review, I
Yeah.
wanted a perspective other than myself. If that
Sure.
makes sense.
Okay. Is that because you're an idiot, or you want another perspective?
Uh, both.
Okay. Welcome to my world, right? Okay. All right. Sounds good. What do you hope to get out of the session? Get me another perspective. Get to top 500. I feel like I've hit a bit of a plateau on DPS. Okay. So how long have you been playing Overwatch?
Uh, shit, like 2 or 3 years now since
Sure.
the end of Overwatch 1.
Sure. Okay. Makes sense. What got you into Overwatch initially? I mean, I know we've played together off and on, but I'm just curious.
Yeah. Back in like 2020 during COVID, in high school, a couple friends recommended Overwatch to me, and I was like, Overwatch, the hell is that? Like, you think I'm gonna play that? You can't be serious. Because I knew about the game's reputation, Overwatch League,
Naturally.
whatnot. And I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. Like, sure, dude. And
Sure.
then a friend of mine gifted me the game, and I'm like, okay, now I have no choice but to play it, right? Uh,
Right.
and then I lock in Reinhardt, and I'm like one of those guys and a casual player,
Naturally.
plays a lot of quick play warrior, Rhine warrior.
Welcome to the club again. Yeah.
And then like I mean that taught me a lot of like corner discipline and like
Sure.
taking trades and it kind of like ironically enough, even though I was like a really like bad player back then, I was like a charge in Andy. At the same time, it like taught me a lot about the game that I think I carry with today. So
Nice. Okay, well, good. So I think there's always like, especially early in the game, there's like so much that you can learn just from like a broad perspective. Frankly, I think that you don't need to specialize early whatsoever. But okay, sounds good. So you made the jump to flank to DPS and specifically like flankers, flex, kind of traditional, flex DPS. Why that transition and how has that been going?
I was always one of those like frag outier players.
Yeah.
Where I would go like the more traditional like DPS roles. Like in League of Legends, I would play like AD carry or
Yeah.
the damage dealer. In Smash Bros, I play like more aggressive characters. So it was like kind of a natural transition to me. Um, Overwatch, obviously, tank is a lot more. Even though I'd argue it's like harder in some ways in terms of macro,
Yeah.
generally it's more accessible. So I learned it first, so to like get good at the game before I got good at an individual hero. And then
Yeah.
it was always like an intention of mine to play DPS after I started playing the game. So it was kind of like natural for me.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I got hooked off of Genji though specifically.
Well,
That was my
again,
end.
how many times have I said welcome to the club in this review? Like 3 times? I literally started the game like as a Genji. So yeah, it's the gateway drug to other things. And I swear, freaking Genji, man. Okay, sounds good. So Genji, Tracer, Hanzo, Echo. And then you are a collegiate now?
Yeah.
How long
I
you
play
been
for
collegiate?
Seneca in Toronto. I've been collegiate for like 4 months. No,
Nice.
4 months. So who am I kidding? Like 2 or 3 months.
2 or 3 months. Okay, fair enough. How has it been?
Kind of mixed. I mean, like it's hard obviously because of scheduling and stuff. People showing commitment to the game is like sketchy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
our team is like I have a top 500 player who I like bounce back ideas with often in DMs, and we're like the player led like coaches of the
Yeah.
team. Him
Yeah.
and I like
Yeah.
we're kind of like embracing the VOD culture. So after like we play a game, we like immediately VOD it sometimes.
Makes
And
sense.
we try to communicate with the rest of the team like, okay, here's this, here's that. But generally speaking, as soon as we finish a match, we're on that shit.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, what's your rank in relation to your teammates?
So the person that I just talked about, the top 100 guy, is the
Yep.
best player. Then the
Yep.
second best guy is GM2 Doom player, off tank player, plays a lot of Sig. And then there's me at like GM4, GM5 with like a GM2 peak.
Okay. And then the other players are lower rated?
Yeah, like Diamond Masters.
Okay, and that's where like you probably have the gap in like motivation, I assume.
A little bit, yeah. There's one
Okay.
player who's like a flat player, but like
Yeah.
he's actually like surprisingly, um, he's good at like getting opening picks, but in terms of like positioning and whatnot, like he's one of those like aim guys where it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
plays the game basically.
I get what you're saying. Okay. Sounds good. Now, you have been kind of fulfilling this role for a few months. And so that's obviously like changing how you approach your training day. Like you're playing around 2 to 4 hours a day. 4 to 8 hours. Wait, okay. And I'm looking through your training schedule now. Like, it sounds like you have a lot of like super, super, super grind oriented days. How is that like involved? Like, how often do you guys scrimmage? How much of that is ranked? How is it like playtime broken down?
Oh, like the specifics of it. Like you don't know if it's like if that's like all like scrim meta or if that's more of like an individual thing. It's definitely more of an individual thing. As far as like the scrims go, it's like we have matches on Tuesday and then we typically scrim either Friday that same week or on the weekend when everyone's free. So
Okay.
like about twice a week.
Okay. So mostly ranked though. Then mostly ranked.
Yeah, ranked and I would queue up with the people. So
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. So then, in terms of like when these major grind days, how do you still find value out of that? Because like that seems like a lot of Overwatch to play. How do you approach
uh
those days generally?
getting
Is that
value out
just
of it. Basically every time that I hop into a match, I think about what I could be doing better in the sense of like, oh, when I die, could I have played that corner better? Could I
sure?
have like had better, for example, Tracer, which is like Genji is more of like a macro because you don't have to worry about much about trigger discipline or like
Yeah,
playing your life well. Like you have deflect, you're 250 now. Uh, you can be pretty slippery and you're a lot like tankier despite still being a squishy
yeah,
DPS.
yeah.
Um, so with Tracer, I'm kind of like forced to play my life a lot better, and then I think about like I'm more conscious of the decision making process and whatnot. So like
Sure.
I kind of like I don't want to say I force myself to think because I'm still like a rather like instinctual player. Like if I see a dive opportunity, I'm gonna take it. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna like get mental block and be like indecisive, which I think a lot of players struggle with. But
yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. I guess my question for you is then, how are you able to sustain that for 8 hour days? Because that's maybe not a daily thing for you, but it does happen frequently enough to at least deserve mentioning in your form. So then, how do you maintain that energy? How do you approach your daily structure, your schedule to be able to focus for that long? And keep in mind that you're also doing this in 6 hours of sleep as well.
yeah, I wrote that as sort of like a baseline. Like I'm not
Sure.
always getting 6 hours. So sometimes I'm getting 8 or 9, and like so I'll oversleep like an hour sometimes. But
Sure.
Uh, generally, I get my 8 hours, but on like school nights where I have like 8 a.m. classes and I gotta wake up at like 6 a.m. for
Yeah.
the commute, then yeah, that's typical for me. So like Thursdays and Fridays, I'll have to deal with that. But
Okay. Okay.
anyways, as far as what I do to continue doing that, it's just discipline, I guess. Like I think of it as like a job, but I enjoy it. It's like
Sure.
I'm trying to make it
Sure.
into something,
Sure.
like whether it be
Sure.
YouTube or whatever. So.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. Now, you say in terms of what is holding you back from improving, I guess moving transitioning here, you say mentality for sure. What do you mean mentality? What specifically about your mentality?
Uh, I think I've gotten a lot better at this since Collision happened because I've started to realize that like the scrim meta is an entirely different world compared to ranked. It's like
Yeah.
when you play in a coordinated environment of five, you hop into ranked, and ranked is like it used to be this monster that uh, is like peering at you from under your bed, being like, "Hey man, you gotta play," or like, and then you get this ranked anxiety, right? And ranked anxiety was something that I struggled with for a long time, where I got my rank, sure, like GM5 or GM4 or whatever. And then a couple things. Number one, you have the community behind your back saying, "Oh, GM is just the new diamond or
Boosted.
whatever,"
Yeah.
and it's a
Yeah.
bunch
Yeah.
of copium garbage. And like, sure, ranks were inflated, but not to the extent that people say that it was. It's just like
Yeah. For sure.
this culture of people who um, make it seem like usually just because they get a teammate that they want to avoid, and then it becomes this whole narrative.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For sure.
anyways, so that like kind of like was a mental block for me for a long time. It's like I don't want to keep grinding the game because like if I lose, then it's all gone. And then I realized that the ranked is just a fucking number. So I mean, pardon my
Okay.
French. The ranked is just a number. So especially after like going into scrims and realizing like how tough it is in a like a 5v5 setting, not like a just pick up. Like yeah, like ranked is almost like a pickup game of basketball where
Yeah. Yeah.
like you just make do with the cards that you're dealt. So
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
soon as
Yeah.
I realized that it was like a numbers game, I just stopped caring, and then I like just played to win and played to improve at the same time
Okay.
instead of
Okay.
just like being scared all the time. So
Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. Anything else when it comes to mentality besides that?
sometimes my aim will get a little bit shaky. You might notice it in the codes, but like There will be moments where the lights are too bright, but most of the time I'm okay. I just like I had to think of something to write down for that section, and if there's
Sure,
something that I think I can improve on, like mechanics are an obvious one because anyone can get better at that.
of course.
Game sense, I think I'm pretty okay. I think these days, especially because I'm like scrimming a lot now, it's probably more communication. Because like I'm
Okay.
finding it hard as an FDPS player to like IGL the team because like our Lucio, our main support is our the guy with the top 100 guy. He's the main IGL. Our like Doom player is like that more like silent type of like oh he's like a ranked brain like frag
Yeah.
out guy. So like we're trying to like encourage him to be more proactive in terms of voicing out his opinions, stuff,
Yeah.
all tracking,
Yeah.
whatever. Like the basic stuff like all tracking and pre-fight planning is like stuff that we already do in ranked, so that's fine. It's just like the um just some like decision making stuff. For example, if I'm on like Peninsula with like a poke hybrid comp, I'm on Tracer and then they're on like full pokes like Lucio Bap, Sigma, like the Saudi stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Arctic Peninsula, what map is it? The map with the yellow in the middle. The I don't remember the name of the it's the people
Um.
typically play brawl on it and they go right side to start.
Well, I mean, right is relative. Are you talking about the Koth map, Antarctic, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about the one where I think I know. I think it's Icebreaker. I think is the one that you're thinking of.
It's
I think
like
it's
a
Icebreaker.
box point in the middle that's like yellow, and then
Is it
you spawn in like an ice structure thing.
is the point wide open relatively?
Yeah, it's not the how do I
Sure.
describe it?
Whatever. It's Icebreaker. I'm pretty sure. But regardless, finish your thought.
Okay, so we would get like in-game moments like that, and then I guess because of mental block, but like so we play against a brawl comp, for example. I have the code right here actually in question, and then we like auto go right side, but I tell them like after the scrim, realizing, well, we should be calling like left because we get like a way longer sightline and we have time to react to their attempt at like
Uh huh.
Lucio Amp, Maywall, whatever, right?
Uh huh.
In this case, they're on Bastion, but anyways, we like kind of like default right, and then I go left as the tracer when our positions would probably be better flipped, or we just like five stack left and then I make a full rotation like
Makes
wrap around the
sense.
back.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes
Uh,
sense.
So like positioning stuff like that where it's like we don't understand the win conditions of our comp and like we've gotten better at that over time. But it's just like it's hard for me to make that decision because I'm worried that like if I tell people like like the Korean way of thinking like oh you position here or you're feeding. You need to be here, here, here and
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That coaching style. I don't want to like delve too far into that cuz generally that's how I think as a player. But like it's hard when you're in an environment of people that you know now that you don't want to like hurt their feelings or anything. Like I tend to be a
Right.
tougher love guy, but with these people it's different because I know them. It's not like some
Yeah, I
random
get what you're
online
saying.
shit.
You're cursed with knowledge a little bit, so it's always feel like should I just tell them what like the proper thing is, or like am I going to come across like a total butthole, or like how am I going to approach this? One thing I will say is that like to make you feel better about like maybe being too much, not too much of a nice guy, but being like more respectful with your feedback is the problem with the Korean mindset. Not that there's like it's all bad, it's just a lot good, but the problem with only being like this is how you do things, this is how you don't do things, and so on is that if there is an unfamiliar scenario that shows up, that player is not necessarily equipped with the decision making and skill to solve that problem. You see what I'm saying? So if you say, guys, that we need to rotate this way in this composition, it's objectively better and so on, that's good. But then what if it's a different map and a different point and a different situation or a different comp? If all they've done is followed exactly what you've told them, you've not exactly prepared them for the unexpected.
You haven't improved, right? Like they're just
Right.
like
They've memorized. They've followed your commands, but they're not better players about it.
right.
So what I would do is obviously continue to encourage them to do well and provide advice and feedback when asked. But don't feel like if I'm going to be a good player, like I just need to tell them what to do and they're going to make it better. Because you're in, especially not only in a conflicting goals situation here, where a player coach obviously has like some conflict of interests. You know what I'm saying? But also it means that it's not necessarily the best way to even coach necessarily. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So just keep having conversations with them, keep pushing them, and if they ask for advice, give them advice. I think the big thing would be with your team is like having a set expectations of like how do we handle feedback, how do we handle coaching. This is how we do things, and then kind of standing by that and being consistent with it. Right? It sounds like maybe right now that there's not really like a clear structure, and maybe that's something that you guys could work on.
I mean, we've sort of set the precedent that like, hey, anything that I say, there's no ill will. We keep
Right.
everything in Overwatch. If that makes
Right.
sense.
Right. Well, that's
So
good.
like,
That's good. That's good. That's
if I'm
good.
harsh on you, it's not you. It's your character. That's it.
Right. Right. It's not you as a character. It's your personal character that sucks. You're a terrible person. Um, okay. All right. All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. I guess any questions? Because I have one more question for you once we're all set up here.
Um, Not really. I mean, I guess I started doing YouTube content, but that's
Yeah. How's
like,
that going?
uh, I just did it as like a for fun thing, like not even
Sure.
to like gauge interest or anything. But I made 2 videos on flexibility on Overwatch 2 support, and I basically just like dumbed down main support, flex support designations for like casual players who wouldn't
Yeah.
know
I'm
what
seeing
that
that right
is.
here. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Cool.
Uh, Completely unedited video,
There you
but
go. That's the way to
I,
do
I
it.
got I got Adobe Premiere. I prefer using it. Like I'm one of those weird guys who prefers Premiere because a lot of
Yeah.
people like go opt for Vegas, they opt for other stuff, and
I think
then
Vegas has a lot of issues, frankly. So I've not used Premiere before, but I have to give it a shot.
and so far so good.
Good.
I'm definitely gonna start uploading more,
Cool.
just to like not only to like, because I'm a journalism student, right? So like
Right.
editing is like it's something that I'll have to learn anyways and get better
Yeah.
at anyways, and I always like put it off. Like I never have like a YouTube channel or anything. I just like, is there any advice for someone that you would have that's like starting to make Overwatch content? Like
Yeah,
what do I
sure.
do?
Start simple. Start simple. And what I would do is I would do two extremes of videos just to kind of scratch your artistic itch. Is number one, when you're making these long form educational like discussion points stuff, let it roll. Just let it roll. Let yourself talk. Like get whatever's off your chest, and then consider mixing in some videos where the videos themselves are like relatively short and simple, but straight to the point. Right, straight to the point. I think
Right.
if you're thinking about like what is the key, what is the what's journalism and video editing? What does it have in common? And I think the answer is like your efficiency and expediency with your communication is what's is important in both. So your ability to communicate clearly as a journalist, whether it's through communication or writing or whatever else, and your ability to communicate your point efficiently and clearly through video editing, that's also very important in video editing as well. So what I would do is I'd just focus on that if I were you.
Okay.
And then how you want to edit your videos, if it's going to be editing or not really a lot of editing or long form discussion or visuals or whatever, that stuff is more stylistic and that will come with time. But efficiency of delivering your messages is and the way that you communicated it is something that is always going to be important. That's my advice. Oh, and play to your strengths. Talk about what you want to talk about.
Yeah. I
Talk
don't
about
want
what
to
you want to
like
talk about.
even if I find a niche within the Overwatch space or whatever, if it's something that I don't enjoy talking about, then like,
Don't
like
talk about it.
I could harp on tank players or support players all day as much as I want, but it's not going to be like fulfilling. So,
Right. So talk about what you want to talk about. That's the big thing here. You don't have to always do what's popular. I would say it's attractive to do what's popular if you like it, but if you don't like it, don't do it. That's my advice. I'm far from like a league, world class YouTuber, but that's what I've enjoyed. So that's my advice.
it's more fun to be the contrarian anyways.
Right. Exactly. One other thing I want to talk about just before we get into the gameplay is I know we kind of touched on it lightly, but I really do encourage you to continue to keep an eye on your current structure. I appreciate that you say that I treat my work, it's treated like a job, and it's a job that I enjoy. But the longevity of what you're doing right now might be a little bit shorter than you think. You need to be thinking long term. What I would
Sure.
recommend is make sure that you're prioritizing your sleep more so than you are right now. Doesn't mean that you need to be getting 9 hours of sleep every single night, but having 6 as a baseline, I would love if that was 6.5. I would love if those 6 hours of sleep happened less often than they do right now. Even if it's just once per week, it happens less often. That would be huge. In
It
addition to
is. It
that,
is like a once or twice per week.
okay,
It
well
is,
then make it once per week and not
but make it
twice.
once per week. Yeah.
That's the goal. Small adjustments, long term. Like the thing is if you can address the problems before they present themselves. Like I'm not super tired right now. I'm not super burned out. I'm handling things okay. Great. Now's the perfect time to make those adjustments before it gets to be a problem. Because I have this problem where I'll like let myself get burned out and then I make adjustments. But at that point in time, I have to look ahead to another 6 weeks of burnout, even though I've already made the adjustments, because the adjustments don't really kick in immediately. Does that make sense? And so you need to, before it becomes a problem, address the problem. Foresee the problem being a problem. And that's why I'm here. I'm going to tell you that this will be a problem eventually. Address it right now. Doesn't mean that you need to do anything major. It could be a super small adjustment. Great. Make it now. Make it right now. Along that line, go ahead.
I feel like even if I add for example, half an hour of sleep into that 6 hours, incrementally, over time, it'll just grow into something more natural.
That's it. Like physiologically, mathematically, yes. In addition to that, I would also do the same thing with your long play hours right now. You're playing, your grind is unbelievable, right? On those super, super long sessions, one of the best things that you can do is make sure that you're taking short breaks between queues, or at least breaking up, like literally physically walking away from your computer. You've probably heard me talk about this in some of my other reviews. Unbelievably important. And if you could do it every game, even better.
I already do, yeah.
Great.
I put the number as this is the time that I've spent devoted to Overwatch in my brain on that day. It's not necessarily me just playing without breaks.
Good.
The queue system and spending time in between matches, it's almost forced.
Exactly.
Either you go out on a break during queue or you sit there at your computer screen and wait. And obviously, I'm not going to do that. To me, it's just not productive.
Good. As long as that's the case and stays the case, then you're cooking. You're totally fine. Yeah. But just continue to make sure that you're staying on that with no exceptions. Otherwise, that will be an issue. So good. I'm glad that's an issue. To keep an eye on the sleep. Long term, we'll see how these things go. Okay. Any questions?
Nope. Not anymore.
Okay. I don't have any other questions for you if you want to look at some gameplay.
Okay. I'll give you my first code because I genuinely I have a ocean of codes because I did a trial for one team. And then for my Killja team, I had a scrim that I saved all the codes for, and thank God it didn't get wiped. By the way, because I was really worried that for context, I played all these matches I don't know, fucking 4 or 5 days ago, 6 days ago, and I'm just I'm praying that Zen isn't enough of a problem that Blizzard thinks that he needs to be immediately hotfixed so that I get to keep my code.
Yeah.
Anyways, let me copy the code. I think I want you to see this one.
I think Zen is okay-ish.
Yeah, I think he's definitely overrated, especially the Lucio Zen stuff. I see people playing that and playing ball comps and stuff, and they don't know what they're doing, and I'm like, don't just play what the flavor of the week is or what people are saying is good. Come to that conclusion on your own.
Yeah, I think there are far many other supports that it could be more unhealthy for the game. Zenyatta.
True. But at the same time, I do think that the hero being perceived as strong right now, I'm not a fan of because there's so many problems with him in terms of playability. They butcher Discord in the name of balance in a way that makes the hero feel clunky. It's just.
I do agree that I don't love the Discord change actually all that much. I don't. The cooldown thing I think it would have been better if there was just no cooldown and it had less effectiveness in tank. In my opinion, I think the fluidity of the character is important. But anyway. I appreciate them trying to introduce counterplay, but yeah. Okay, so this is Tracer?
Yeah. I think it's the entire time.
I assume here that this is going to be a bit of a mixed bag review where you have a couple of team questions as well. Is that the case? Or do you just want to focus on just your play?
If you see the thing is that I don't know what to talk about. Because I had so many codes that I guess I was more thinking of individual, but at the same time, it'd be great if I got advice for my team that I could help them with.
So let's put it this way: if questions come up in the moment, you're like, "Oh shoot, I don't know if we took this fight was the right thing." Let me know.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, let's take a look here. Deep flank, deep angle, very deep angle. Very weird fight. Very weird fight. What's essentially happened is their backline is played so far back that it feels awkward for you to set up any sort of pressure and engage on them. But at the same time, because they've played so far back, it also means that their Ana, Kiriko, and Cassidy weren't really engaged in the fight, and so their Doomfist and Tracer just freaking dies. What I might say here, rollout-wise from you, is it might be better for you to take set. Go ahead.
Go point?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Take a shorter angle where it's easier for your supports to heal you and you're not quite as deep. If you're able to sit here, you could pepper the Doom, you could pepper the Tracer, you could still set up these angles and these guys here, but there's more in-between time while still being lethal in the backline. That would be my recommendation.
Right.
That being said, I appreciate the discipline. I appreciate the timing here. That's super unfortunate. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Okay. Same kind of thing here, where you're treating your angles super, super deep, so deep that you're actually rather late to the fight, which is not always a problem, but this is probably not 100% necessary. This is a one clip or your team is screwed kind of a situation here, right? Again, I would think about if you're gonna be here, think more about leveraging more of a distraction now. Like right now, go ahead and start blinking up here right now. Go right now. Because if you wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, once you hear Doomfist cooldowns here, you need to start pressuring, either through distraction or damage. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're consistently late. Part of it might be the angle that you're choosing, but part of it I think is just that you're just consistently late. Oh my days. This guy's almost as good as I am in Ana.
Right.
Oh, you got scammed by that blink too. That sucks. Yeah, I think you're just consistently late in both fights. First one, maybe because of the angle that you chose. Second one, I think the angle was maybe okay if you just actually utilized it earlier. Make sense?
Yeah. I can definitely see it now. Especially with the comp that my team is playing. Like, if they get run down, it's kind of over. It's like they're a little bit squishier than... and they don't have, like, instant access to backline. They can't cheat with, like, a Doom of our...
Right. And then here, their Tracer's going to get more help than you. But their Tracer getting more help than you is not a bad thing because you could absorb more resources than you have to need yourself, essentially. So if you win this duel here and force the Honor Curie to pocket the Tracer, then you're cooking here. I actually think I think I would prioritize the duel here. I don't think you can afford to avoid the duel because you're the one trying to cheat now. You see this? Because you're like, frick, I have pulse bomb, I need to go, right?
Right.
But you can't because if you go, you're going to cut right through the Tracer and then now you're getting sandwiched. So then you're getting sandwiched. If this Tracer's better, you get your recall force now. Tracer's not better, the Doomfist is better. There's your recall. You should have recalled that. And now, essentially, you've been nothing but a resource drain this entire fight instead of actually forcing blinks or recall or pulsing the Doomfist and forcing his ult or any of those things. Does that make sense?
Yeah. There were a lot better pieces on the board to target than taking, like, a 10 damage pot shot.
Right. That's the thing, is if that Tracer marks you, unless you could take another angle that avoids her entirely, you can't just go right past her. You can't do that. That's how you're going to get your recall force or die. So just take the duel there. Take the duel and be like, hey, I'm just not going to die. And I'm going to force the Ana to pocket her. You know, that's it. That's all you can do. Now here, you could get around the Tracer, which is what you do. This is good. Same thing here. You've been sneaky enough to where this has actually worked. Good try. Ooh.
No Suzu, I guess. I don't know if she like TP'd and just didn't place it then.
I don't think she had it. I don't think she had it. Nice. Yeah, this is all good. Because the reason you got to the Ana there is because you didn't go through somebody else. Did you notice that? You went around. You snuck around behind. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, a lot less of a predictable location to go through too.
Right.
Like, doesn't Ana expect a Tracer? Like, if a Tracer would pulse her, then the expectation would be that she's like wrapping around.
Right.
For me, I took like a more direct approach, but at the same time, like still behind cover, like through the staircase.
That's the thing. That's the thing. You have two options with Tracer. If you're you either take the duel or you take another angle. You never, ever, ever can just go through a duel to whatever's behind. unless you're going to go for like a triple blink pulse bomb and then just quickly like recall out to pocket.
Recall
but
out,
even
yeah.
that is super risky and honestly super inconsistent as well. I'm actually going to talk about that in stream today. Talk about sandwiching, like the concept of like what it means and cheating and all that kind of stuff. I assume this is you just adjusting your angle because you didn't like the angle you had previously.
Yeah.
I don't like the position though. You've gone from like an angle that is maybe arguably a little bit too deep to now not even an angle at all. Where should you be?
If you like are positioning the camera to where I should be, like staircase could be a little bit better. I could like jump yellow box and then try to get off angle and like below them.
Yeah.
I think the call at the time was like we were kind of expecting them to all roll out through that door. So like Turks and I were like ready to like punch plus like spacer spam.
The top thing where like yeah.
So like as soon as they dropped down, like Doom would unload his CDs and then I would follow up. That was like I believe that was the call, which is why I'm positioned like kind of like main defaulting with everyone else. But
you see this?
No one is there.
This is where you should be.
Free space.
Free space. Free angle for the door that you want on. Saves you blinks. Element of surprise. Anybody drops on either side.
Cover mini. I believe it's a mini in there.
It's a mega.
Oh.
Yep. It's free real estate, you know. I don't know what she was. I don't know what she was cooking there, frankly. I mean, come on. This backline has been smoking cigars. They've been under no pressure whatsoever because your angle sucked. This is an overcompensation. You've gone from basically, like we said, like too deep of an angle to not an angle whatsoever. And I think the too deep of an angle was, let me be very clear that I think the too deep of an angle was only a problem because you're consistently late. The angle itself was fine if you had been there sooner, right? The first two fights. That's the only thing. Nice. Cooking. Good. This is fine. Just hold. Good. Good. Yeah, this is good. This is all good. This is all good. Haha, get rolled. What a legend.
I kind of wish I got killed by that, honestly.
That would have been poor guy.
Give me that guy.
It's fine. Oh, you could have killed that. You could have finished that. Yeah, the reason I'm zooming through this fight is because I think for the most part, things have been relatively well executed by you. It just kind of comes down to like, oh, if your tracking was a little bit better or if your mechanics are a little bit better. I say that as you get the clip. Nicely done. But this has all been relatively fine. Unfortunate.
I live for that. I don't get angry by that. I'm like,
yeah.
I got the Suzu, whatever. Like,
yeah,
we need that. Especially because we don't have Nate to force it out, so.
Get a little bit of trigger discipline there. Hey, nice.
That was definitely a moment for me where, like, I decided I wanted to improve my trigger discipline is this game.
Yeah, and it shows. I think this has been a reasonable round from you overall. Like, I think for you particularly, it's been okay. I want to just choose my battles with number one, your positioning. You're too late on deep angles. Number two, you then overcompensate and don't take an angle at all. Number three, you then, when you have a backline, you want to cheat to the backline when you have pulse instead of taking the duel in front of you and being patient for that angle instead. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Those are the ones that those are the battles we're choosing here. Okay, any questions so far?
So if I'm going to take a deep angle, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I have to make it count and not be late.
Yes, you have to make it count. Because you think about it, like, I'm not going to get any support on that deep angle, but the attention that I get is going to be so much more valuable because it's going to allow my team to rotate on top of them for free. Because because you can't get healing from your team means that your supports can be focused on their own selfish game more, which is not a bad thing, right? That's what you're doing when you're running a Lucio comp, right? You are not the priority when you're playing a Lucio comp. Your tank and your support's selfish value is getting way more support. You are not.
Right.
So all you need to do is set them up for success.
That's what I tell them in the VODs too. I'm like, Look, I'm a supplementary hero in this comp. It's not built
Yes.
around me. I'm here
Yes.
for distraction value, and if I get a kill, great. But if I don't, like, I'm just trying to
Yes.
split attention.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes. 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 So then you need to be putting more of a priority on setting up those angles well and then timing them well. Like
all
right
right.
now, you look at this here. I see no reason why you should not be walking forward and taking attention right now. What should you be taking attention on and why?
Mark Tracer right
Mark
now.
Tracer,
Easy.
and then do
Prob-
what? What are
Uh,
they gonna do?
if I don't kill her or force recall, if I don't kill her, I'll force recall if I'm good enough, and I like win. Assuming I win the duel, I'll take aggro off my team. They'll be able to walk
Why?
forward.
Right. Well, why? Because first off, Tracer's attention's on you, so there's no off angle from the enemy team at all. But also, what's this Bat Bluesu gonna do? You know it, right?
No idea.
Where's their attention gonna be pulled? If you're marking Tracer,
Oh, they're gonna start healing her, or
right?
they're gonna like look at me and try to
Right.
like mark me.
Pull a little bit of resources this direction, and as long as you don't die here, and you shouldn't, right? If you're smart, then that's going to allow your team to buttle up out of this choke significantly easier. This here smells like you're kind of thinking, I want to get a deep angle on this back line. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm
I don't
trying
think
to
you
time my
can.
pressure with like a Sigma Rock or like engage for my team, and then go
Right.
in at the same time. Whereas
Right.
I think in hindsight now, it's better for me just to distract aggro.
I agree. The reason why is if you could get here, this would be so much better for you in terms of damage, right? So
Right.
much better in terms of distraction. But that's the asterisk. Can you get there? I don't think you can.
No, not enough time.
I don't
That's
think
way
you
too
can.
long, and I'd have to invest blinks. And
So let's reevaluate everything. Do you even need to be taking this off angle, or would you better serve to try this off angle instead?
right is probably better. It's not that left is bad, but for what I am trying to do and execute in the comp, right is probably better.
Probably better, right? You're going to get here so much faster, and you're just basically, and it's closer to your Bap Lusu as well. Like that's kind of the weakness here. You're running on a Kiriko here, then definitely the deeper angle is going to be better. But yeah, I think this is kind of something that you need to consider. Like you don't need to be scared of distracting this Tracer because I'm scared of this guy giving his full attention onto your backline. I'm scared of this guy giving his full attention onto your backline. I'm scared of this guy giving too much attention and controlling your team's positioning. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, take what your angle gives you, and then next time reconsider your angle. Does that make sense?
100%.
Okay.
That's something I didn't consider watching this back.
Yeah, don't take one angle and then decide to do something else with that angle. Do what it does. And then if you don't like it, do something else next time. But it's too late now to reevaluate that. Because you have been almost a total non-factor, even distraction-wise, this fight. Okay, your team's here. Let's go. Take the duel. Good. Good. I think the only thing here is I don't think you knew where the Tracer was. So once you pressure her, she actually blinks behind you. I don't think you heard that.
No.
Okay. This is still fine. You see this? This is good. Look at what you did this fight. You took an angle with what you had. Let's just watch. Red. Blue looks at you. Blue looks at you. Blue looks at you. Blue looks at you. 4 of them, right? You clip again. You clip again. They back off. You recall. You immediately, because you saved your blinks, because you just took, like this is the other thing too. Because you used what your angle gave you, look at how efficient you are with your resources. You see this? Cover.
Cover.
3 blinks. Recall. Oh no, we could chase her because she doesn't have recall, right? No, because 1, 2, 3. You see it? You needed every single one of those blinks to live. And now they've backed off. Tracer's pursued. This is not a 1v1 that she can win. And you've taken heat off of your team. And so now your team can walk out of the choke. Your only mistake here is you got too greedy. You force a recall here. Remember, she's still here, right?
Do I take this and like immediately out,
yes.
or do I? Okay.
No, you take the duel because what are you gonna do? You're gonna use 2 blinks to go back to main and then die to the Tracer behind you?
Yeah.
You don't have enough resources to avoid this duel. You have to take it. You have to take it. You just have to be better than her. And worst case scenario, it's a neutral game. I'd rather you not lose a duel than be a burden to your team, right? Now you could also, if you force a recall, if you want to be really cute, you could do what you do here and blink out this way. So that then she has to chase you. But do you notice that by doing so, you're getting further away from her and staying on the outside? You see how you're sandwiching yourself here?
A little bit, yeah.
You're putting your back to a threat. You don't want to do that. You want to just take the duel. Take the duel. Go ahead.
In the moment, I was indecisive whether or not I wanted to 1v1 the Tracer or if I wanted to go help team. If that
Ask
makes
yourself,
sense.
yeah, 100% makes sense. Just ask yourself, what resources do I have? Right now, you only have one blink. You don't have the resources to run to go help your team.
Right. If I take the 1v1, I'll have like a couple seconds recall advantage.
Exactly. Now it ends up being okay, but shaky.
Like, this I'm not proud of. Like, I'm distracting aggro, sure, but this is like towing the line a bit too much. And I'm one of like the proponents of like, I need to greed my recall as much as possible, but like,
to me, the big thing here,
tanking.
to me, it's not even tanking so much. Like, you are fighting at the same time as your team. I actually think this is fine. It's more of the micro of this approach, honestly. It's this right here. Like here, this Tracer's on you. What do you do?
I would put a clip into her, but
you should put a clip in her.
On team.
Right, you should put a clip in her. You can't disrespect the Tracer by doing this. You see what I'm saying? Because not only does that risk, you should have just died here, honestly. But then that means that here, you should have 2.5, 3 blinks. And now what could you do?
I could either chase the Tracer if I wanted to, or I could go in now that I have resources and
pretty much.
The Tracer that I clipped would blink out, maybe go for like a mini or something. Like.
At the very least, you'd have the ability to disengage and rotate to a mega or a mini so that you could actually stabilize in the duel here. What I want you to do is I don't want you going past threats. Does this look familiar? This is exactly right here. This is exactly what you did on the previous point when you tried to when you had pulse bomb. Do you remember that? You blinked through the Tracer to get to a squishy, which then cost you resources. Because then you either died or almost died to the person that you should have been dueling in the first place. Does that make sense?
Definitely seeing it, yeah. 100%.
If she's chasing you around the map, that means it's always going to be a resource advantage for you. Appreciate that. Don't hard force the target. Don't hard force the target. That's what makes Tracer, especially with this new patch, so luxurious, is that you actually are very flexible with target priority. It's more important for you to consider what angle you should be taking and just shoot what's available instead of chasing a target and dying to the target that you should have been shooting instead. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This is good. The only time, what's the only problem here? The only problem.
Unnecessary damage and then
unnecessary
blinking forward
damage
at 50 HP.
Yeah, it's tanking, right? It's what you said earlier. The timing of this is awful. Look at your team, look at you. The target priority is fine. You're getting a lot of resources here. Just don't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
Wait. Because this resource distraction is meaningless. And now you need to be in, and now you don't have re. Go ahead.
I honestly didn't even need to shoot. I could have played my life in the corner there and waited for a better opportunity. If I am going to shoot, then I need to like know the Tracer's HP because she's realistically in a range where I could, if I'm good enough, one clip and then blink, melee, recall, and I'm out. But that's the only scenario where I would want to shoot at that moment.
Exactly. You could cheat if you see an opportunity to like secure a kill super, super fast. Like if you see an opportunity like, oh, I can definitely get this, then sure, maybe. But yeah, like this is a total grief. Because now it means that you're cheating again. I mean, I get it. Like there's sometimes when it's like, I understand why. Man, you have to be so careful. And the problem is that if you don't get it, then now where's your angle? Right?
Yeah.
You cashed out. You cashed out, right?
I have to take the L now.
Yeah, you cashed out. You didn't get the payment. You didn't get the big payoff. So now you're just on a horrendous angle without resources. This is good. Good. Crap. Oh, my days! Nice. I was about to be like, no way. Get him. Oh, that's tragic. Yeah, it's just accumulation of little things, right? Again, I don't think you played this fight too poorly. But yeah, obviously. So what are you seeing so far? Let's keep the ball rolling. Piggybacking off of what we talked in the previous round. What are you seeing?
So previous round, and also this round, consistent theme of like deep flanks, late timings. So not necessarily a bad thing, but the timing does need to be better.
Yes.
My like blink management and recall management is generally good, but there are some hiccups.
Sure.
Mechanics are like solid, but that's about it so far.
Sure. I want to also remind you that the sandwich, where you'll take an angle, you'll see a target that you really love, and you'll go through the target that you're doing to get to the target that you really love. Put yourself at a resource disadvantage, and either die or lose the off angle entirely.
Right.
You're cheating. Take what's given. If you don't like what's given, you should have picked a different angle. A lot of indecision here. What's given right now? What do you need to shoot? Tracer. If you wanted to shoot the backline, what angle should you have taken instead?
Right.
That's it. What's the problem with this rotation?
Number one, it's late, and the enemy team's already made. They're like, where I'm blinking now is like, okay, if they're there right now, I mean, it's also cheating because it's 2 blink investment. But like, if they were where I was at right now, it'd still be okay. But they're on the other side of the map, so
That's
now I've got to cover the distance by walking.
You're late again. I think you predicted that this rotation was going to be free, and I do like that you're staying on the periphery. You see this? I like this, but it's too late. Read how they're going to move first, because you guys are cooked.
Yeah. I would have loved that if I was 3 seconds early.
I agree. Take what you're given, right? So now her recall's down. So now look at where she's positioned. You see that? So now what angle for you is free?
I could, alongside my team, just like play where I am right now and look down main. Optionally, I could also go right, but that's more of like a I have pulse thing.
Sure.
I wouldn't do that otherwise. I would rather just like fight now.
Sure, but you see that because you forced a tracer out, you won your duel. You now have the right to deepen your angle. You see that? You see that?
Yeah.
You're allowed to even ignore the tracer a little bit here because you know, hey, I forced recall. I'm okay. Now here you got to be cautious. Deepen your angle. Where should you go?
Right. I can continue fighting, but right is definitely better. And then
just blink one here, right? As long as it's quick. It's about finding that balance between uptime versus rotating to a quicker angle, or better angle, excuse me, but doing it quickly. Nice. So that was a good fight from you. Really clean fight macro-wise from you. Very nice.
I did not realize I couldn't stand on that.
I didn't know either, so hey, the more you know. Easy, right? No cheating involved. Why? Where's the tracer?
Other side.
Other side. This angle's free for you. There you go.
Yeah.
Maximum value. Huge. Now live.
Oh! Unlucky. I genuinely thought I got the mega.
Oh my days. Yeah, even without that, this guy rules you. Wow, that's actually so unfortunate. I would say here, if I'm going to be focused on the micro here, once they're here, I don't think pursuing anymore is necessary. With your last blink here, like it's a little bit like, hey, maybe.
Yeah. Like my rationale is the extra damage I'd be able to get from that blink, and then I recall out anyways, plus like the mini to sustain me for a little while longer. I might get the kill in the Bastion.
I do agree that this is overall a fine play. Because even here, you could blink out this way. I mean, I don't even know if you'd live, but at the very least, yeah. I mean,
buy him some time.
Yeah. Okay. Take which angle gives you. Good. Then deepen. Oopsies. You know, like how even here though, do you see how like it kind of feels like, I think it's pulse bomb brain, right? But also it's like, she's caught you. Right now, you have to engage this Tracer. You can't not engage this Tracer, right?
Yeah.
Because for you to be able to go to backline here is going to mean totally turning a blind eye to Tracer, which in this day and age, in this economy, you know what I'm saying?
Damn. That's so free for her, too.
It just is. Well, it's because your movement sucks, right? Why does your movement suck? Because you're not even looking at her. You see this?
Yeah.
There's no strafe.
The easiest clip in the world with a jump,
right.
too.
Right. You cannot cheat with this. You cannot cheat with this. You have to take what's given. If the Tracer marks you, unless you're like one blink pulse, then go back and take the duel. But most of the time, you have to take which angle gives you. If you try to brute force something, you're screwed. Yes. Good. Yes. To be honest with you, I think this is more on your team. No, I think this is more on your team. I think you should definitely hold this angle here in pressure. I think this is probably the smarter play, honestly. But it is kind of more of a misplay in your team that they're dying so quickly before you even set up, right? Like if I look at this, like I'm not going to call your guy out, but double CD death, right? That's just inexcusable, right? And that's going to make you look bad. And then because of that, then that means that your Doomfist is not going to live, right? So let's put it this way. Your mistakes are still mistakes. I probably would have held the angle a little bit longer here in hindsight. You see this?
Yeah.
But this is not a bad play. And you did get here not too late. I think it was okay. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Notice that to get this pulse bomb, you didn't necessarily have to blink through the Tracer. It was still risky, but it was safe enough for you to be able to get away with it.
Yeah, cover
now,
plus beat.
Yep. And now you just take the Tracer duel. Take the Tracer duel. Probably didn't need re there. Good. Now shoot the ram. This is good. Good fight from you. Take what's given. I don't like this. Take what's given. Right? Sit here and wait.
Shoot what's in front of me, right?
Shoot what's in front of me. Okay, so now's the time to go. What should you shoot? Obviously.
Tracer.
Tracer.
100%.
Force the Tracer out. Force her inside of her team. Right. Like she's totally has no idea that you're there. You're going to get a resource advantage. You have a massive advantage in this duel. You'll force her re. She'll blink back to her team, and then you'll be able to take an off angle and shoot her backline. Like this is something that it's like you have to understand because you're going to be playing a lot more into Tracers and Genjis and Lucios and so on, right? Where they're not going to be stacked. They're going to be on these angles, and you're just going to have to earn your keep. You're going to have to beat their flankers to be able to get to their backline is a way to look at it. Or find an angle where their flanker is not going to go and go for their backline. Those are your two options, right? This is, I want to go for backline, so I'm going to use resources. Oh no, I've used resources. Tracers found me. Now I have to take the duel, but instead of taking the duel at an advantage, it's now an equal footing. Or at a disadvantage, like we saw earlier when she one-clipped you. You see this? And you're still like, you want that backline. You cheated again. And what did you get out of it? Jack all. And now the Tracer legitimately could kill you. And even if she doesn't, look at where your angle is now. You see it?
Nothing. And no blinks.
Right? So, you have to. Because if you didn't run away, she would have killed you.
She screws the pooch a little here. But
well, that's, yeah, she greets it. Because think about it. She doesn't need to do this anymore. She's cleared you into no man's land. Why would she chase? So now what could she do if she's smart?
Left side.
Left side, totally free. Totally free. You're completely out of the fight. She gets greedy. Crispy. Yes. And now you're free. Now you're free to do whatever you want. Again, your team dies way too fast. I'm like your Cassidy is probably just going to die. Like, there's nothing you really do about that. But what happens here? Yeah, the TP is too late in the Suzu as well. But yeah, okay. Any questions so far? We got a little bit more time if you want to look at. Well, no. Let's actually take some notes. Okay. I want to see you hit this pulse. Come on, come on. Ah! That was a 5K, bro. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's an easy 5K. Kevster would have hit it. Kevster would have hit it. Come on. You're that good. Trust.
Wait, would he just like blink immediately and throw the pulse down, or?
I mean, yeah. No, just at that point, you just pulse yourself. If I'm going to go out, I'm not going to let anyone else take me out. You know what I'm saying? It's just an ego move at that point.
Well, that's valid. If I know I'm gonna lose, that's actually valid.
Yeah, just pulse yourself, you know? All right, Tracer, what do you got? What needs to be practiced?
Not cheating
Yeah,
is a big one.
No, but what is cheating? So don't do this. Do what instead?
Instead of ignoring the tracer and going for backline when the tracer is a more advantageous duel and easier to take, and then as soon as I clear her out, I can afford to go backline afterwards, or I could continue chasing her if that's the play on the board. But typically it'll be get the recall out, and now I get to stage for free.
Check your notes. How does that look?
No cheating. Instead, shoot what your angle gives you, greeting backline, or choose angle that avoids flanker. Both right. Yeah.
Right. Keep an eye on deep flank timing showing up a little late. I wonder how much of this is all tied in together. Where it's like because you're so thirsty for backline, you're taking these really deep flanks to avoid their flankers and sometimes being late. I wonder if that's all tied together. Do you kind of see what I'm saying? Maybe I'm thinking too hard.
Definitely possible. Like one mistake breeds another.
Yeah, right. Where it's like your overall mindset is like, I want to shoot Bastion Baptiste on. I want to shoot those squishy characters in the backline. So I'll cheat. I will avoid the Tracer duel and die the Tracer duel. Or I'll take these absurd, hilariously deep flanks and then mess up the timing with them so that I don't actually get any value done by the time the fight's already lost. That's kind of the common theme I'm seeing so far. I think mechanics are fine. Like you said, mostly fine. But I think like your approach needs to be a little bit better. Any questions about any of this?
Everything makes sense so far.
Okay. You have any questions about anything, period, team-wise?
Not that I can think of. I mean, like, it's not a team review is the thing, so.
Right. Okay. No questions?
Nope.
Okay, well, that's it.
W.